Thank you so much for the intro. And also, I would like to thank you, Ian, and also extend my gratitude to the ACGCS for extending the invitation to host today's webinar. So I am very happy to, it's the first day of spring, so happy to be here on this sunny day, at least in Vancouver. And I look forward to sharing some insights that contribute to the advancement of player education around safer gambling. So I am just going to get started. So just a little bit about myself as an introduction. So I am the manager of GameSense Programs and Training at BCLC. And I actually started at BCLC in 2003. It's been 21 years. It doesn't feel like 21 years. I still can't believe it every time I say it. But I've actually been dedicated to what we first called responsible gambling back in 2003 and 2004 when we really started our programming and we started our training programs. And so I was fortunate enough to be at the very beginning of BCLC's journey into safer play and now player health. So that is something that I'm personally very proud of. So I've been quite dedicated to the safer gambling and player health programming at BCLC. And so as part of that, I led the development and growth of the GameSense Advisor Program since its inception in 2005. I actually was part of the pilot. And then I currently oversee the operation of the GameSense program at 36 of BC's gambling venues, casinos and community gaming centers across the province, and also more recently since 2021. We expanded the services for the GameSense advisors to phone and live chat. So we are now offering support and resources to playnow.com customers. And in addition to the GameSense Advisor Program, I've also been able to work on the many different enhancements and new creative development around BCLC's GameSense brand, and also the Voluntary Self-Exclusion program, which is now called Game Break, and also a number of training programs, including appropriate response training and Game Break enrollment training. So today, here's the agenda. I'm going to walk you through a number of different approaches. So BCLC's player health approach, our GameSense Advisor program, and also I'm going to be able to show you some of our player education examples and campaigns. And then at the end, we'll have lots of time for questions and discussion. Sorry, clear my throat there. Hopefully everyone can hear me still okay. So just to get started, so I know from Ian earlier today that he let me know that there was a number of folks that were joining from different parts of the world, so which is pretty exciting. So some of you might not be familiar with the BCLC. Us here, I'm actually located in North Vancouver, BC. That's where I'm joining you today. So here's the gambling landscape in BC, because it might be a bit different than other jurisdictions. So we are a Crown corporation and we're responsible for managing gambling in BC. We set the standards, policies, and procedures for all the gaming operations. And we have a regulator, which is called gambling. We call it GPEB, but they oversee, they're the auditors and they oversee gambling, but we're the Crown Corporation that is very involved in the operations. So here's kind of our three sort of main buckets of business. So we have casinos, lottery, and online gambling. So in the casino side of things, we have 36 facilities across 33 communities in BC. We have almost 14,000 slot machines in operation, and we have almost 500 table games. And so the way that the casinos operate is actually they are owned by what we call service providers. They run the day-to-day operations of each of the facilities, and then BCLC owns and maintains or leases the equipment, the gaming equipment, to ensure that the gambling facilities have a high standard of security and integrity. And we obviously work very closely with the service providers that run the facilities and staff the facilities as well. And then we have lottery. So we have 3,400 locations across BC. Those locations could, some of them are dedicated locations, like kiosks that you might see at a mall or something along those lines. We also have retailers within like smaller stores like a 7-Eleven and that kind of thing. We have 7 BC exclusive lotto games, and we have over $700 million in lottery prizes that are won each year. Then lastly, we have our online gambling. So playnow.com is the online gambling platform. It is a safe, secure, and legal way to gamble online. We also support the online gambling operations for Manitoba and Saskatchewan through a partnership with the Saskatchewan Indian Gaming Authority. And through PlayNow, we offer online lottery, bingo, online slots, and casino games. And we have almost 300,000 PlayNow players that are signed up through that website. And I will just move to the next slide. So this is our player health vision. So now that I've kind of introduced you a little bit to just our overall operations, I'm just going to get into more specifically what I work within BCLC because we're very dedicated to player health. So this is our vision statement. So this vision statement focuses directly on the 2 most critical elements of healthy play: staying in control of your time and your money, and taking back control if you go over your limit. So our vision statement is aspirational. It articulates our ultimate goal and is a challenge for both our players and ourselves. It provides long-term direction and a context for our player health strategy. When we envision player health in the future, we see an environment where BCLC offers exceptional gambling entertainment and players experience the least amount of harm possible when engaging with our products. As a social purpose company, we support those who identify they are experiencing issues with their gambling behavior, while also assisting players through their player health journey with BCLC to educate and support them in adopting safer gambling behaviors. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So this is a representation of our player health framework. So in this framework, we acknowledge that not all players are the same when it comes to healthy play. There's an established continuum of risk to gambling, which represents the time, money, energy, and attitude that a player may have surrounding their gambling habits. The more they spend in these areas, the higher the risk. We have 4 commitment areas to influence healthy play and support those who are experiencing problems. And so, as you will see throughout this presentation, we aim to tailor our approaches with players in consideration of their level of gambling risk. So these commitment areas are informed decisions, positive play, referral and support, and then safer products and environment. So this is just to delve a little bit more into our player health approach. So, and also to add additional context to the last slide. So here's this additional detail. So these are our 4 pillars that guide our work. So the first one, which is informed decisions. This is where players understand healthy play This is GameSense that I'm going to describe shortly, and where information is easy to access and available in a variety of ways. So where you gamble, online, e-newsletters, points of sale, signage, marketing, all of those kind of things. So the types of initiatives that we develop under this informed decisions pillar would include programming around how gambling works, chances of winning and losing, personal limit setting, facts and myths, and also promoting our resources. The second pillar is positive play. So players gamble within safe limits. So we provide enhanced tools and programs to nudge players to adopt safer play behaviors. And so this includes the type of, this is an example in terms of our programming. So creating self-awareness and tools for customers to manage play and take breaks, delivery of our GameSense Advisor Program at all of our venues, and also by phone and online through live chat. We also promote healthy gambling behaviors, such as awareness of time and money, setting money and time limits, taking breaks, decreasing in high-risk behaviors, so chasing losses, borrowing money to gamble, that kind of thing. And then the third pillar is referral and support. So players with concerns will receive help. So for people who gamble beyond their means and lose control, this is about measures to help moderate their gambling. We recognize that for some people, safe gambling means not gambling at all. So we're either encouraging people to take up some of those help resources, or we're encouraging them to go through our game break process, which is a self-exclusion program. This also just recognizes too that venue staff are quite critical in providing resources to individuals that are playing in the casinos. So they are often the people that are helping to facilitate breaks in play, and even that game break sign up that I was just saying. So we also provide quite a lot of training to venue staff so that they are knowledgeable and able to provide sensitive support to players who show signs of a problem. And then the fourth pillar is safer products and environment. So we continually seek ways, this is within BCLC, to improve products, environments, and marketing so it's simpler for players to keep within their limit. So just a little bit more on our player health strategy. So I just walked you through sort of our vision and our framework. And this is now our strategic focus for about the next 5 years. So it's actually, and it's been a number of years that we actually started to describe our approach as player health. What we used to do sort of when I first started at BCLC up until about 5 or 6 years ago, we always referred to our programming as responsible gambling. But over the years, we definitely, anecdotally, I can tell you that responsible gambling didn't necessarily resonate as a term with our players. It was a little bit difficult to explain, and people would always say that it was an oxymoron and things like that. And so didn't have the best way to resonate with our players. So we started to look at different ways that it could be approached, and player health really started to resonate with us internally, and also is starting to resonate a little bit more with our players. So we've now incorporated the concept of player health, and it's very much ingrained in our corporate culture now. So recognizing that the industry evolves very quickly, we also need to be clear about the outcomes that we want to achieve during the next chapter of our player health journey. So now that we're about 5-6 years in to moving from responsible gambling to player health. It's what's next and how do we move even farther. So we've identified 3 strategic goals to guide us over the next 5 years. So that's the first one, which is better understanding our players. We work to understand the behaviors that underline why people make certain choices to support our players the best way possible. Personalized player health experiences. We personalize the player health experience for all players by delivering the best information, interactions, and services in the right way at the right time to support them in adopting safer gambling behaviors. And then fostering a player health culture internally and externally. So embedding this player health culture across our organization. We recognize that the well-being of players is the key to the sustainability of our business. So just to really sort of dive into it now around GameSense. So this is the area that I'm quite involved in on a day-to-day basis. So what is GameSense? Some of you on the line may already know and have seen it. There are a number of other jurisdictions. I think there's about 11 additional jurisdictions that have adopted GameSense over the years. So it's not just us that uses the term GameSense and also the brand. So GameSense is our trademarked player-facing brand and program that delivers our safer gambling and player health messages. So it was developed in 2009 as part of our, then it was called responsible gambling, but basically our player health strategy. So we place an emphasis on the health of our players. And so we have a number of people, so including myself, there's 2 other managers within player health, and we obviously have a director as well. And we all dedicate our time to looking at GameSense and what resonates with our players and coming up with some programming that we could engage our players in conversation. So it's all about promoting safer play with our customers. And the objective of the brand is to ensure playing stays safe and to promote peace of mind. So here's just a little bit of an introduction around what does GameSense look like? What is sort of how in a player-facing way, what does it look like? So we always say welcome clarity. That's the brand essence, essentially. So that's something that we're trying to achieve in any of the like posters and brochures and the way we talk about GameSense. So the tone of voice is caring and friendly. It's not dictating. It's approachable when it's time to have difficult conversations, and it speaks as a friend, not a parent or a regulatory body. So this is just a creative sample. So it's got fun speech bubbles. So it's whispering, I guess, kind of whispering to you, trying to get your attention. It's good to know how the games work before playing. And then if I play longer, will I eventually win? Which is kind of set out as a question. And then GameSense is answering, heck no, playing longer won't improve your odds. So it's a little bit cheeky, but it's also meant to have that welcome clarity. So people hopefully look at the information and resonate with it a little bit and don't feel put off by it. So our GameSense Advisor Program. This is, I'm going to show you sort of how we integrate the GameSense brand and then how do we bring it to life with the GameSense Advisor Program. So GameSense Advisors are responsible to engage players at the venue. As I was saying earlier, we also have a a virtual service now, but I'll talk about that in a second. But what they do is they help increase knowledge about how gambling works. They will talk about the risks associated with gambling, and they help dispel commonly held myths with our players. They're also there to provide support and referral to those that might be seeking assistance with problem gambling behaviors. They can be reached at the GameSense info centers, which are located in venues. They're also available now by phone through BCLC's customer support center, and also by live chat on playnow.com and gamesense.com. We currently have, I think at last count, I think we have 40, sometimes it changes, but we have about 43 GameSense advisors that work across the province. So they work in all of those 33 communities that we have casinos and CGCs located. They are often sort of one of just a few BCLC staff that work in some of those smaller communities. So they have quite really interesting and great relationships with the people that, or the service providers that run the casinos. And then they also have really unique relationships that are built with the players, especially with the regular players in some of the smaller communities, and also in the larger communities as well. So like Vancouver and Vancouver Island, where we see sort of some of the busier venues. But there is each of the GameSense advisors they develop personal relationships throughout their shifts, and they become the trusted source for information around GameSense. And also when people really need support and they need referral to help resources, and they are definitely that trusted support for people to go to and talk to. And some of the training that we provide for our GameSense advisors really concentrates on having empathy and having good communication skills, and also incorporating what we call motivational interviewing into some of the conversations. So people can really look at their own behavior, understand their behavior around gambling, and then look to change their behavior if that's where they might be in their gambling journey. So I think I have some videos for you in just a little bit. So the next slide is all about the GSA framework, our program framework. So our focus areas, so we always have our three main ones, which is education, support and referral, and then training and embeddedness. Virtual service delivery is actually something that we added just a couple of years ago, because that was really where we found, especially during the COVID years, is that people really went online to gamble, and we wanted to be able to meet people where they were gambling and where they were at, and that was through live chat and phone. So we've really grown that part of the program over the last couple of years. We actually have really grown the number of interactions that come in through phone and live chat. So it's been a really great addition to the program. So we also have some objectives that we're trying to achieve, and we really weave through the whole program. So the program is aiming to help our players be more knowledgeable about the potential risks and harms associated with gambling. We want to make sure that they're equipped to make better informed decisions, better informed about the odds and probability of winning, better informed about how games work, and also better informed about safer gambling practices. And the approach that we do that is sort of kind of put together with our operations. So there's a number of ways that we look at GSA coverage at all of our venues. We have virtual GameSense Advisor coverage in that phone and live chat format 7 days per week from 7 a.m. to midnight. We offer educational programming and incentives to come and have conversations in a really non-judgmental way. We provide materials and takeaways, and then we facilitate those referrals to help resources. And then we also provide game break enrollment support, which is that self-exclusion program. And this is, like I was saying, this was the virtual GSA program, just as an overview. Again, just up in the corner there, just an example of the GameSense brand and how we have promoted the virtual GameSense Advisor Program to our players. So this is because it's really new. I mean, compared to the in-person support that the in-person GameSense Advisor Program that we started back in 2005 as a pilot, this one only got started in 2021. So we had venue closures here in BC for just over a year. And that actually enabled that opportunity for us to look at where the GSA service needed to go and how we were able to better support our playnow.com customers and then make sure that people were still able to self-exclude. And we also had put it in place for that increased accessibility to engage players when they're gambling online and when they're actively looking for information about PSE and GameSense. And then increased expertise for gambling-related inquiries. So what we were finding was that people were calling into BCLC's customer support line, and they were asking for GameSense-related information or player health-related information or referrals. And now that we have GameSense advisors that are trained to answer those calls are a little bit more convenient for the players that are calling in, and they're getting access to the information a little bit quicker. And then also we're able to provide more support for BCLC staff because the virtual GSAs that we call them, they're also a resource for BCLC staff. So agents from the customer support center, investigators, people that work in our prize payout office who might have concerns about a customer, they now also have somewhere that they could direct their inquiries to and ask for assistance. So that's been very successful for us over the last couple of years. Just to kind of throw this in, some hard facts. So studies show only 10% of problem gamblers access help resources. And several studies have indicated that problem gambling counseling may yield outcomes with varying levels of impact that range from 30 to 50%. And so the reason that I'm just showing this is actually pulled from one of our training programs, but it's really just to show that GameSense advisors are in a unique position to be difference makers. They are already at the venue. So if you are a customer and you're going to have, you're going to gamble, you don't really have to look too far for a GameSense advisor because they are there where you're gambling and when you're thinking about your gambling. So you don't have to think too hard about, am I having an issue today, or I'm not feeling good about my gambling? And you don't have to necessarily pick up a phone and phone someone and leave a message and get a call back and things like that. It's all about convenience and quick access to somebody who could provide information and be a helpful hand, and also somebody to lean in and have a conversation if you have concerns. So that's kind of what this slide is about. So the next slide is actually, I'm going to show you a video that we did a couple of years ago, but it is a nice illustration just to introduce you to some of the amazing people who work in the GameSense Advisor Program. And this was filmed at one of our annual training events. So you're going to hear firsthand how a GSA's role is not just about on-site support, but also how they can make a difference in people's lives through meaningful conversations and genuine care. And so as you'll listen, you'll discover how small gestures like offering a kind word or a listening ear can serve as a pivotal turning point in someone's journey and foster healthier gaming. So I'm hoping everyone can hear it.
When I grew up, I never worked at fast food restaurants or anything like that. I did other things. So I loved McHappy Days because I got to go work at McDonald's for an hour or two. I didn't think anything of it. This woman comes through and I'm happy and how's it going? Good to see you, blah, blah, blah. Here you go, and whatever she ordered. And she emailed me and she said, I just wanted to say thanks to you for being so happy and putting joy into my life. But here's the kicker part, and I'll try not to get emotional because it's incredible. She goes, I dropped my kids off at school. I went to Save On Foods, which is across the street. I bought a whole bunch of frozen food to put in the freezer because I was going to go home and commit suicide. But because you said hi and you were happy and you put joy into my life, I decided to take a different path today.
I started realizing that just by kind of talking to people and listening to a lot of people, that you can really make a difference in lives just by having discussions and getting to know them.
To be a GSA, it's almost like a lifeguard. I'm on site. I'm there to help people with problem gambling and with responsible gambling to let them know how things work.
When you're on the job site, you might think just being happy and being nice and saying hello to someone is just what you do, but that could be that trigger point that someone needed to change their trajectory in their journey.
I have a person that just came back from a 3-year VSE. She had been doing 6 months. She'd confide in me about self-harm, etc. And then finally she did a 3-year. So now she's back. She came back about a week ago. And she said, Jamie, I won 1,200 at chances. I just won 1,800 yesterday, and now I'm at 2,100. I said, but what about if you don't? What if you're not ahead? What are you going to do? And she looked at me like I'm crazy and said, Jamie, I got a $500 limit.
I feel as a GSA that we are developing a sense of community within the casino with all the players, with the staff.
I think everybody expects us to immediately make a person never gamble again. And I think that scares off a lot of people, when in reality, we want that person to find their happy, healthy space with their gaming.
Being able to get through to those people, and sometimes it takes longer than a conversation, and it can sometimes take weeks, sometimes months, sometimes even years. But it's when that player starts to understand what you do, and which comes from rapport building over time. And then for them to have that aha moment and say, oh.
We are aiming to create awareness of your role within the casinos. We want everyone to be proactive.
At our site, Katie and I, we have presentations that we made because you can hook up to the TV in your center, and we do presentations on roulette. We do presentations for new staff when they come in.
Having GameSense advisors available at all the CDCs and all casinos is a big step forward for our player health programming in general.
That's the only way we can do this, is by working together and making sure that responsible gambling is in every site, that the service providers know about it, and that it's going to become part of the culture. It's going to be something regular. It's not going to be seen as, oh, the problem gambling desk. It's the GameSense desk. I'm hoping that's going to be just a new trend. It's just going to be the norm eventually.
Oops. There we go. Okay, so hopefully everyone can hear me now. Okay, so this is just an intro to our GameSense Info Center, so I can just show you what, now that you've been sort of introduced to some of the people that work within the program. So one of our our GameSense resources are the actual GameSense info centers themselves. We call them GSICs sometimes. So these centers are in-facility resource centers, which are equipped with all of our GameSense information and tools. So they're designed to be on the gaming floor, and it's fully equipped with our GameSense messages, our branded material, and also a space to take a break. So here is just some snapshots of our brochures and posters. So each of those centers, they're equipped with a number of GameSense brochures. So how to play, how to keep it fun. And then we always have rotating posters and displays. We have some digital signage as well, just to keep the centers really fresh. And so when people come into the centers, they are seeing something new, or they're being exposed to a new message. So this is some of our interactive tablets. So these are actually brand new. We just launched these a couple of months ago. So it's pretty exciting, because I think this is going to be sort of a new area that we're going to be able to explore. So it really encourages people to come and get some self-serve information. It's a touch screen display within the center itself, and there is a interactive slot tutorial. We actually also have a slot, like an actual slot machine that is turned off, but people can interact with. But this is a way that people could really learn about their own behavior around their play behavior, and how much they typically like to spend, and what that might look like. So it's pretty exciting. So I'm looking forward to really expanding what these interactive tablets can do. And then, of course, we want to marry up our in-person service with our virtual service as well, and it's going to give us a tool to do that as well. So on our GameSense programming, this is really a big area for us around player education. So this is really where we bring player education to life. So we are looking at essentially incentivizing and encouraging positive play behaviors to increase awareness and usage of the tools that we have available. So what we do is we look at proactive and fun opportunities to foster engagement with GameSense and safer play information and tools. This helps create memorable interactions with the GameSense advisors and builds trust. And it also encourages players to think about their safer play plans in new ways. And it might even make them look at something that they didn't think of before around gambling or their own behavior. So we try to really incorporate the GameSense brand into these type of opportunities to engage with our players. And then, as you can see from this photo, that's actually a staff member, because we also do these events with staff that work in the venue as well. And they usually really appreciate it. They get opportunities to win some prizing and answer quiz questions and things like that. And they're usually pretty fun. So how does GameSense approach these conversations, these proactive conversations? So we try to have sort of educational, supportive, approachable, and lighthearted. So educational, we have tools and tips that help players play smart. We're supportive, so we're accepting, understanding, and never judging of others. We're approachable. We're warm and welcoming, a friendly, relatable presence. And lighthearted, we're casual and fun, and we don't take ourselves too seriously. So what has been our reach over the last year? So we actually have almost 50,000 interactions year to date. That's our fiscal year. So our fiscal year is April 1 to March 31st. So we're almost at the end of the year. So we've really had a banner year since the venues were closed due to the pandemic. We had a bit of a slow start when the sites reopened, but our program has really blossomed this year. And we're really starting to see people come and interact with us in person and wanting to come into the GameSense Info Center and sit down and have conversations. So we're currently, as we support the self-exclusion program, about 12% of self-exclusion enrollments are conducted virtually with a GameSense advisor, and 27% of those enrollments are also supported in person. So that's a really big area of support for us. The GameSense advisors and the team leaders who work in the program, they've delivered in this past year 129 appropriate response workshops delivered to venue staff and 140 game break enrollment workshops for security staff. So we really do get the opportunity to provide information and have conversations with the staff as well as customers. Our annual GameSense Advisor tracking study. So we do this annually. We do send out a survey to customers that have interacted with the GameSense Info Center or with the GameSense Advisor. And so out of that, we know that about 82% of our players state that they feel more equipped to make informed decisions about their gambling after having interacted with the GSA. And 78% of our players state that they feel more comfortable accessing problem gambling support after having interacted with a GSA. So I'm just going to take you through just a couple. I'm looking at the time, and I know that we only have an hour, so I'm going to be wrapping up pretty soon. But I do want to show you some of our examples of player education. So this is our financial literacy initiative. It was an evidence-based brief intervention program to support gambling-related financial literacy among players. So we engaged with an organization called GRIO to help us develop and manage the research that went into this. It was actually a multi-year program. We started with some research and then a pilot, and we've actually just recently been able to launch at all of our venues across BC. So it was a really exciting project, and it was really quite new in the way that we incorporated evidence-based messaging with some of our experiential activities that helped encourage players to participate in a screening survey, essentially, that really helped guide the GameSense advisors in delivering relevant messages to the individual that was basically standing in front of them, so in real time, which was really fun. So I'm going to show you a video here too. So this was the activation. So what you're going to see is we have sort of the creative development of the GameSense program and the type of messages that we want to provide to players. And then we have an activation and like what we call education activities. So this is really about, being proactive and getting people to sort of look over to the GameSense info centers and being really interested and coming over and engaging with the GameSense advisor. So when it came to financial literacy, we put a fun golf event within the center. So it was like kind of a pitch and putt. So pitch your putt and learn more about financial literacy for safer gambling. And we obviously made prizing available. And this is one of our GameSense advisors just talking about how he was engaging with people about financial literacy.
So how do people feel when you ask them the screening question?
So their responses have been from being okay with it to being a bit hesitant. And we feel they've been given not the right answers when there are many people in this area. So we've been trying to get them to do it one after the other, because when other people are around, they're thinking they have to answer that they are responsible gamblers. When there's nobody, then they tell us the truth, right? So I saw that right from the first day.
You got it! Good job!
that was Francis at one of our gaming facilities in the Lower Mainland. So here's another activation, is how games work. So again, here's the creative execution of the GameSense brand. Really, again, just a fun way for us to get people to engage with the message, and just kind of take a double take. We kind of incorporated, like, people are essentially bringing, like, somebody's bringing a horseshoe to play a game of Connect, a ping pong ball to play chess. So it's just really get people's attention. And here's the activation. So on the how games work. So what we did was we created a game called GameSense Checkmate. It was a customized chess game with unique rules and unpredictable elements to make it engaging and entertaining while the player learned something new. And then it highlighted the potential consequences of playing a game without understanding the rules, such as losing money or making uninformed decisions. So that was a fun game. It was very visual. We were able to set up a chess game, and again, lots of prizes and conversation with customers. And then here's another one. This one's actually out in the field right now. This is our Gambling Myths campaign. Again, super fun and interesting, especially, well, now that we've just had St. Patrick's Day. So wishing for wins won't change the outcome. Don't get burned by the hot sloth myth. Rituals and charms won't improve your odds, and your lucky numbers aren't magical. And so our activation for that is something called the Mythical Hat. It's a myth or fact game. Essentially, it's a very simple one to execute. It's essentially, we just get some fun hats, especially because it was St. Patrick's Day. And there's a number of different sort of cards that people will just kind of randomly choose. And it will be a myth, like, is this a myth or a fact? And then it's really just part of that engaging discussion and getting people to come over to the center. And lastly, this one actually is a little bit older, but we're just starting to come up with a new Take a Break campaign. So I thought this one would be appropriate. So again, just another execution around the GameSense brand. And here's just some examples. The last couple of slides is just around, I just wanted to show you some samples of our marketing support. So a GameSense Advisor is always within reach. These go on BCLC's social channels. They go on our digital signage that's throughout our network. So whether it be lottery retail or through the venue. We also have digital signage that's available not just in the GameSense Info Center, but throughout the venues as well. So people will be introduced to these messages, and then they know where to find us. So need to chat, we're just a click away. And again, this is would be on maybe like playnow.com or gamesense.com, just to, again, encourage people to live chat with us or call us. And that was my my last slide. So I think we have a couple of minutes for some questions. So I'm going to stop sharing. But before I stop sharing, I'm just going to show you my very last slide, which is the just to plug the New Horizons conference that's coming up in Vancouver at the end of October. So if you don't know about it already, it's coming up in October, and you can find more information at bclc.com. So